Why it's so hard for millennials to buy homes. Did you know that on average, millennials are buying about 50% less homes than boomers did at the same age? Did you know that this is really decreasing the net worth of millennials today, and millennials today have less net worth than the boomers of the same age with more opportunities, more technology, and more going on? Well, there's some real reasons why millennials are having a hard time buying homes, and in this video, I'm gonna share with you exactly why that is and how we can change that, since I'm kind of a millennial. Let's go.
Noel. Yeah, she can fix that. If you gotta get it done, all you need to do it better. Well, she can fix that. Yeah, she can fix that. Investment to get back, trying to get a big stack. She can fix that. Let's fix that.
I'm gonna share with you the hidden truth on why millennials are not able to buy homes, and it's pretty shocking. I'm gonna share with you a secret that I learned from my millennial billionaire friend, and I'm gonna share with you some sneaky ways that millennials can get houses that are super profitable. There are so many benefits of home ownership, especially as compared to renting. Home ownership really allows you to build your net worth. Let's think about this for a second. When you are buying a home versus renting, you are actually building your net worth because of a concept called appreciation. Typically, real estate appreciates at a very high level, about 10% per year. So just think about this. If you buy a house, year after year, it is going up in value. At the same time, instead of paying rent, you are paying down the mortgage. Additionally, mortgage interest is tax deductible. So the mortgage interest that you are paying on your loan is actually something that you can write off on your taxes, decreasing the amount of tax liability that you have. Also, there's equity in a home. Like I said, as the value is going up on the property and you are paying down that mortgage, you will be building what's called equity. That's the difference between what you owe versus what the property is worth. So for example, you have a property that you bought for $150,000. After about 5 or 7 years, it's worth nearly $200,000. Additionally, you took out a mortgage, let's say for $140,000. Now that mortgage is down to $120,000. So you would have over $80,000 in equity in less than 5 years. In so many cases, even more than that, depending on where you buy the home. Now, let's flip that and say you were renting and you were doing that exact same thing. You were paying $1,500 or $1,200 per month. None of that payment is tax deductible, so you didn't get the write-off. Also, you were not building equity and there was no appreciation that you received. The person that's actually receiving that appreciation and the equity is the landlord.
First things first, if you want more money for your business, you're going to need a business checking account. North One offers business checking accounts that you can get set up in less than 3 minutes, and you can do it all online.
All you do, you open up your browser. You're going to type in North One. Very simple. You're going to then log in and register an account. Opening a new account. As you can see, I'm clicking here. I'm showing you different ways on how you can easily open a new account for yourself and for your business. Your business is going to have to be registered with your state, your Secretary of State, because you actually need a business. Once you have your account all set up, you will see that having a business checking account with North One is amazing and simple. You can actually integrate all of your different merchant processing accounts. For example, if you have PayPal or Stripe, you can integrate that into the account, and those deposits will go directly into your North One account, and then you will not only have statements from your merchant processor like PayPal, Square, or Stripe, you'll also have business checking account statements from North One that you can just pull down digitally. You can just download them, create a PDF of them, and now you have all of your statements in one place.
Check out the link below at North One and get your business checking account today. This way you can use your business checking account statements, and many lenders will lend to you with just that information. Get your business checking account today with North One and get this debit card that you can use anywhere in the United States absolutely free. Now back to this video.
So there's so many benefits in becoming a homeowner and taking advantage of the equity that you could be building, the natural appreciation of real estate, and the tax deductions that come, and even the ability to borrow against the property and increase your net worth. Just think about it. You can't borrow against the apartment you rent. You can borrow against your house though. So now let's talk about the traditional mortgage process. This is the problem with why so many millennials are not able to buy a home. The traditional mortgage process allows for you to get a mortgage through a lender, but they need to qualify you to see that you can pay. And in many cases, they're going to require 2 years of stable employment, meaning you basically have to have a W-2 job where you receive a pay stub every 2 weeks or twice a month. They're not going to accept jobs where you're a 1099 contractor like an Uber driver or where you work odd jobs. Additionally, you can't have any gaps in your employment more than 30 days. So things like the pandemic and things like that have affected people's employment, and they have gaps in their employment, so they are not able to qualify for a loan. Now let's add on top of it the assets that you are going to be required when it comes to the traditional mortgage process. You're going to have to prove not only that you have money saved for the down payment, you're also going to need to have at least 2 months of reserves after making that down payment. So if you need $10,000 down and your mortgage payment is $1,500 a month, you're going to need over $13,000 sitting in a bank and having to have it sit there for at least 60 days where they can see in your bank statements that you've had that money. You usually cannot get a gift from someone unless it's a qualified gift, and in many cases they will reduce how much you can lend if you're getting a gift. So there's so many things in the traditional mortgage process that is really holding people back. One of the bigger things that I didn't mention is your debt to income ratio. And this is the real big problem for millennials. Let me explain that part because it's shocking. In most mortgage cases, you are going to need to have a debt ratio of about 30%, meaning of all the money that you make, only about 30% of it can go to your bills, and the rest of it you're going to need to have available to you. That's a really big thing to have, especially with millennials that have student loan debt. Student loans are really holding back a lot of people from getting a mortgage, even if their student loans are in deferment or if they're on payment plans, because mortgage lenders do not use those to qualify you. In so many cases, in order to get a traditional mortgage loan, they will take a percentage of your student loan debt and make that the payment, even if that's not really the payment. For example, you could have $100,000 in student loans and you could be on an income-based repayment plan, meaning because of your income, you only have to pay $100 per month. Well, the banks are not going to use $100 a month to qualify you. They're going to use 5% or even 10% of your whole student loan debt for you to qualify for that loan. And that part is really crazy because even though that's not your payment, you are not going to use that number to qualify for you. They're going to use a much higher number. In the example that I gave, they would be using $500 per month instead of $100 per month. And now you totally don't qualify. Additionally, statistically speaking, millennials have taken on way more student loan debt than baby boomers ever had to. Because of things like GI loans and the cost of college being so much higher than it was for the older generations, millennials have had to borrow extraordinary amounts of money just to get a college degree. And in many cases, they didn't even finish college, but they still have those college loans reporting on their credit report. This is holding so many people back, and you can see why it's such a hot topic in our political environment, why everyone is asking for student loan debt forgiveness, and people are not able to qualify for mortgages at all because of all of this student loan debt. It's really become a burden for millennials, and we have to do something. So let's talk about how we fix this. Whoa, I know I just gave you a whole bunch of information there, and this video is amazing. Make sure you subscribe to this channel and make sure you click that little notification bell so you do not miss any of this content that I am bringing to you every single day. I am headed to 1 million subscribers and I need your help. I'm even doing cash prize giveaways and even giving away a car. So make sure you subscribe to this channel so you don't miss out on any of those cash prizes and giveaways. Okay, back to this episode. So, as an elder millennial, me being in my early 40s, I can honestly say I had a ton of student loan debt. I gave an example of $100,000, but that's nowhere near the beginning of where I was. I had over $250,000 in student loan debt, and it really would have held me back from getting a mortgage. In fact, I wasn't even able to qualify for some normal mortgages in many cases because of the guidelines that I just told you. But because I had got a coach and a real estate investor, I knew some savvy ways on how to actually get properties without ever going to the bank. So I'm going to share some of those with you because you really can become a homeowner, build your net worth, and become a real estate millionaire without ever going through the traditional mortgage process. Let's talk about that. In many cases, you can find people with a property problem, like I've explained in a couple of other videos. In fact, I'm gonna give you an entire playlist on how to invest in real estate without ever having to use a bank. I've created tons of videos on this and I have an entire playlist dedicated just to that. But let me quickly explain how it works. You can find people with a property problem, people that are in foreclosure, bankruptcy, divorce, probate, things like that. And you can get those properties for pennies on the dollar. Just by calling those sellers and negotiating with them, you usually can do something we call subject to, where you buy the home and they leave the current mortgage in place and you just take over the mortgage payments. You never have to contact the bank, you never have to be qualified for the bank, and you don't even have to use your social security number in order to purchase these homes. If you don't want to do subject to, you can also do something called a lease with a purchase option. Now, in some states, they don't allow lease purchases, but in almost every state, they allow you to do a lease with a purchase option. That's where you, again, take over the person's mortgage payments, you get a contract to buy the home or lease the home with the purchase option, meaning you have the option to buy the home, or if you decide after living in the home that you don't want to buy it, it's a lease and you can just terminate the lease and you would have to pay what's called an option fee. This is an amazing way to get properties, and this is how I built my portfolio of over 40 properties, never using any banks or lenders. You can do this exact same thing, and again, I have an entire video where I even give you all of the documents that you'll need to get this done. Millennials, we can buy houses and we can build our net worth. You definitely want to invest in real estate, and you cannot let your student loan debt stop you, because once you start making money with real estate, you literally can use those profits from buying and selling houses and pay off your student loan debt just like I did. So millennials, you can get this book where I teach you how I started from my parents' basement and how I became a real estate millionaire, never using any banks or lenders. My new book, Real Estate Millionaire Secrets, is available to you absolutely free. You just cover the shipping. Go to 𝗏𝑒𝑙𝑠freebook.com and get this book. I go through the entire strategy, even give you graphs, templates, and scripts on how to get this done. This book is amazing, and again, absolutely free. You just cover the shipping at 𝗏𝑒𝑙𝑠freebook.com. I just want to make sure that you have all of the resources, all of the tools, and all of the knowledge that you need to be successful. This is Noelle. To your success.